Select Board meeting to order on June 27, 2022. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain seated as we honor veterans, past and present, and our healthcare workers. Thank you. Please be seated.
I'm going to hold it.
Thanks for following the rest of the meeting with that
I was
fast.
afraid you're going to take off down that little step.
Yeah.
Okay.
Proactive.
Thanks for all being here and
They should give me a
in
ramp.
TV land. We have signed the warrant, so we can move on to appointments. 6:30. We're on time so far, Cody. Congratulations. One-day alcohol license for the Dartmouth Cultural Council, Pauline Santos. Please step forward. You can reintroduce yourself as well, Pauline.
Pauline Santos, Dartmouth Cultural Center. We would like to have a liquor license for July 1st, 5 to 7. We're serving wine at an opening. We have Michael Morris, photographer. He does drone photography. I think it should be quite interesting. We're also having, while I'm here, free lectures on climate change, global warming, and rising seas. We have quite a list of speakers that will be speaking. You can check the website.
The date again of the upcoming event, the date and time?
That's July 1st, and it is 5 to 7.
Is there any charge?
No?
But, again, what? No charge?
No
Oh,
charge.
God, no, that's great.
And the lectures are no charge.
Great.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Just that contingent upon the sign-offs. It hasn't been signed off by all the departments.
If
yet.
not,
Motion to approve with the stipulation that that all departments sign off on the application.
Second.
any comment or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Unanimous. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. Okay, next. 6:32, one-day entertainment license for the Stackhouse Club. Joe Lima.
My name's actually Zach Antonio. I'm part of the group that's hosting the event at Stackhouse. I work with a nonprofit called Teresa Street, and we host a lot of fun events just to help raise money for local causes. So we are hosting a wiffle ball tournament, fundraiser tournament at Stackhouse, so we're looking for a one-day alcohol license. And we are raising money for a child and family services group in the area.
Oh, wonderful.
Yep. And there's no admission fee or anything.
One more time, the date?
Sorry, it's July 9th, and we're looking for the license from 11 to 5.
11 to 5. Motion to approve.
Second.
It's all approved here, yeah. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for raising money for it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yep, see you guys.
Okay, 6:34, one-day entertainment license for the Paid Narum Festival. David Russell.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming in for our annual event, which has not happened in a couple of years due to COVID, but we're back now. It's the Summer Festival in the Village, and we're looking just for a one-day event. That's on July 30th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and it's just entertainment. We don't serve any alcohol, and there is no admission fee. We'll have our usual 40-plus vendors and a couple of dance troupes and a little bit of music down at the corner lot there. That's it. I've talked to police already about the usual details once it's approved, presuming that it is. I'll get the details from Officer Vieira and tie that down and send a request to DPW for what we need for the no parking.
So the street will be closed?
That's right. Be closed from Prospect to Harbor on
and
Elm Street.
What time?
From 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
The vendors will be on the east side of Elm Street. And that way, if there's an emergency, fire and rescue can get through on the west side if need be.
Bridge Street will be open, right?
Bridge Street will be open, correct. And there'll be no parking on one side of Cleveland and Pleasant as well, so the fire department could get in and out without any trouble.
Are you going to have a shuttle?
We will have a shuttle from
service.
St. Mary's as we've done before.
That worked out quite well.
Yeah, it has worked out exceedingly
Yeah.
well. Yeah. So we're excited to be able to have it again this year.
And the restrooms will be open, correct?
We certainly hope so.
Okay.
We're also getting some porta potties, but
Yes, we certainly hope so, too.
We do too. Yeah.
hopefully the Marine Center will be open, and that with the porta potties and the local businesses seem to handle that well.
Okay, make a motion to approve with the caveat that all departments have signed off on it. I see the police have not signed off on it yet, total, but just as a formality.
They have since then.
They have signed, okay, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None? Unanimous.
Thank you
See
very
you then.
much, members of the board, Mr. Chair. Nice to see you all.
then, Dave.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Doing pretty good, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, new business. Mcbratney property lease, RFQ. Cody.
Yes, so we put together a request for qualifications.
Just one, why is Cody here tonight? Mr. McGinnis is on vacation, and Cody is sitting, and I'm sorry, I should have said that
That's
before.
fine, thank you.
Thank you.
He's pinch hitting.
Right, yeah. Being the right hander.
So this is a request for qualifications to lease the Mcbratney property off of Slocum Road for recreational purposes. This comes after town meeting approved the select board to enter into a lease up to 30 years for the piece of property. So this is just a typical method that we follow in town. It opens it up for anyone interested to submit an application. It's pretty broad to keep it open. Our plan is to post it on July 8th with the submittals due on September 9th.
Since doing this previously, is everything the same on this posting, or are there changes?
So we haven't done an RFQ for this previously. So this is, but it's a pretty typical format for procurement, what other communities have done. And you can see there's evaluation criteria in the RFQ, and basically the respondents will be evaluated on those criteria.
And what is the term of the lease?
That would be negotiated by the select board. We just mentioned there it's up to 30 years, and it's at the discretion of the board.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. McDonald.
I noticed in the beginning of the proposal, get the actual, I believe it's this, okay, yeah, it's the first page, where it's asking for one copy of the price proposal, which was attachment B. Generally, the leases that we currently have payment in lieu of services, or payment, or services in lieu of payment. Is that what this is also going to be?
It leaves it open-ended, so the respondents can recommend that, but we wanted to leave it kind of as broad as possible.
Okay, all right. Because in any of the leases that we have, we've never asked for a down payment. It's always been in lieu of services.
Correct.
So, okay. Okay, make a motion to go forward.
I'll second that.
Any questions, comments, discussion? Anybody? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None? I hear none. It's unanimous. In the public record.
Very good.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry?
How long would it take once everything's approved?
Steve, we're talking about the agreement itself, nothing
Yes,
specific.
yes.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, Steve Burgo, from the Burgo Basketball Association. I just want to know, because I heard him say July 8th and then September 9th, or 19th, was it? I'm not sure.
The 9th.
The 9th. Okay, the only thing I wanted to know is, once that's all done on September 19th or the 9th, it's going to be the 30 days after that, am I right?
It really depends. We have an internal review team, which consists of various department heads. We'll go through and vet the responses, so it depends how many responses we get.
Yep.
And then that information will be forwarded to the select board after our review. So maybe 30 to 60 days is probably a reasonable.
Okay, because the sooner, hopefully we get this and we head to the bank, because that's all they're waiting for. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Who was here?
Okay. Oh, this is a proud moment in our town right here. The owner, it's quite a name for this document. The owner affidavit in lieu of site plan approval. And we have a proud member of our town hall team, Mr.
Joe Braga.
Joe Braga.
Thank you, members.
I know you, okay.
I think I know who I am. For the record, Joe Braga, Building Commissioner for the town of Dartmouth. I have presented before you after numerous conversations with Mr. McGinnis and I, trying to come up with a solution and help for the town residents as far as the certified stamp plot plans go per building code, which I'm required to have. I also gave to Mr. Haddad a copy of that code, which says, which talks about what's required for documents. The bottom sentence says the building official is authorized to waive or modify the requirements for a site plan where the application for a permit is for alteration or repair or were otherwise warranted. So legally, after having conversations with town council, the understanding, and now more people understand the fact that I can, under my authority, waive or modify. So instead of waiving, which I believe would, with all the problems, to be honest with the board, they know when I took over, there was a lot of issues with zoning and setbacks and complaints about garages and such. So I took full enforcement on the plot plan, the certified plot plans, just to help kind of get everything in line. Now, after all this time, and I've had conversations with pool companies and really trying to find a way to make it better for the contractors and the residents of the town of Dartmouth. And we finally came up with the document that we are presenting before you tonight, which meets all legal language, the modifications, what the applicant needs to do with this document. It only applies to structures 500 square feet or less, which is going to allow for those small additions, especially the pools. The biggest hardship I heard overall was the above-ground pools, and they're such a small cost, but to get a certified plot plan and is $1,000, anywhere $1,000 to $1,500. So we put it to this point that as long as they sign it, you can see the legal language that was given to us by Anthony and Brian both, and they sign it, and then we look at it, and then they will not be required to get the certified stamped land surveyor plot plan by this affidavit. And that's my hope, and thanks to Mr. McGinnis also working on this, that this will be a big help for all the residents in the town of Dartmouth. And this is where I've been trying to get to help. So, any questions?
Mr. McDonald?
Yeah. The impetus of this whole thing, and Joe, I tell you, I appreciate you and Mr. McGinnis sitting down. The impetus was several conversations that I had with different people here and there complaining about the additional cost of needing a surveyor for the survey or somebody to come in with the plot plan. But the more important thing was, besides their cost, was their availability. And especially nowadays where it's just absolutely impossible to get anybody to get anything done. So I'm glad to see this because this is going to help. Like you said, the biggest complaint I got from most people were the above ground pools. When you're having that cost and then you're adding an additional $1,500 to some even more than that of getting that done. And especially if it's going in the same area. Case in point, we just replaced our pool. Same footprint, same area. If I had to do this now, I would need the plot plan, but I'm more than enough away, so I would be more than welcome, and my pool fits within this square footage. I do know some people have a tendency to go with a little bit larger pools, like the average is like a 16 by 30, which ends up 520 square feet. So that's kind of just a little bit over. But I'm glad that this will give not only the contractors a little bit of breathing space, but the homeowner. and it'll save some money for them, and which is very important. And plus, it puts the onus on, on the homeowner, and making sure that, that where they're going to put this is where they said it's going to be, and that's what it is. And I just think this is a win-win for not only for the town, but it's also a win-win for everybody else out there looking for, to get stuff done.
That's correct, Mr. McDonald. Also, it satisfies the legal requirement that I have to have by doing this. It allows me to give, as I said, modify it under the building code, which is governed by Mass General Law 143. So it gave me the avenue for this. And as I said, I've met with some of the pool companies, had conversations, understand the dilemma that they're in, and we want to work with everybody. And I understand the difficulty in trying to find, I just checked it before I came up here to get the numbers. We have permits issued at almost 3,800 for the fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at, Dartmouth has been growing by leaps and bounds, and I said that when we first had met, when I did my analysis on the past 5 years. And it is growing at a fast rate. And contractors can't keep up, I understand that. The surveyors, the engineers, they're all out straight. And so I agree with Mr. Donald, this is a win-win for everybody.
Mr. Mickelson.
To be brief, we talked about the onus being on the property owner. It's just a good tool for everyone, for the town and for the property owner and the contractors. It'll speed things along, and I'm glad, really happy that you have that tool to move with without your time not wasted, but you have plenty of other things to do.
I do have a question. So on the affidavit, it does say that I have included a site plan, see example below, illustrating the setbacks of the property. Now, is there information that will be given to the homeowner as to how to access the site plan?
There's examples on there of what they should look like. I believe it's the third page, shows examples of the plot plan or site plan that they need to take care of. So that however they get it measured, and as long as it's accurate, once they sign this affidavit, that's what they're attesting to, is that's what the existing and proposed meets that.
So is this something that they would go on to Google Earth over their property and look at?
They can actually get it through the Dartmouth Town website, through the GIS map.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that needs to be included on here.
That can be. I think that should be
Because
included.
I think there'll be some people, such as myself, that would have no idea how to, take my crayons out and.
Yeah, no, I think a link on to the town website, the GIS, gives you the best data possible.
That would be.
And you can even,
that's
you take a
helpful.
screenshot or how you ever want it. You want to print it out, you can print it out, and then you can bring out your box of crayons and draw exactly where you want to put your shed or whatever, she shed, he shed, she shed, whatever.
Tea shed, but burned down my tea stove. Okay, I understand, Mr.
Okay, thank you. That would be helpful, I think, if we had that.
Well, that could be added, because supply information, how they could do it. Most of the time, what the pool companies have been doing, and they're very good, is they just do a satellite shot, and you can impose with those apps, they can put on it will do the measurements for you. So it's pretty easy to use.
Yeah, Google, I think Google
Google
does
Maps,
that, yeah.
Yes, that is correct.
Great tools.
I would like to say that I was on the committee to hire Mr. Braga, and we had the absolute intention that he was going to be the center of attraction as to what the residents had to do to get their approvals all the way around. And he came in, he had his hands full, and clearly you were going by the book. And I heard from a number of contractors that, we've been doing it this way for so long, and how can it do it? Everybody's busy, it's costing me money. And as a result, 3,800 applications. This is the way that we worked out an issue to make it better and more flexible and meaningful and simple. And I commend you and the staff that put it together, because I think, and now we're running on things are really under control. The application process is working better and better here. I'm even hearing from contractors who are saying, it's working pretty good. And they're understanding what went on and how we did it. And I think it's the way it was supposed to be. And I congratulate you, Mr. Braga, on how that's working, and we'll continue to improve it. And of course, with the help of, with Cody and Sean, it got done.
Thank you.
So, anybody else?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the affidavit as written with the addition of the link for the GIS.
Is there anything else we can put in as helpful besides that, or is that
I
enough?
just need to request a date before you approve. I'd like to have it implemented by July 1st.
That's
To
Friday.
be
Okay.
put
we can-
into it.
We can make that,
All right.
the sooner the better.
We're really, Mr. McGinnis and I really have been pushing to get this started for the new fiscal
You
year.
want June 28th? Okay.
June 30th.
I need to have time to get all this documentation on the system, Mr. Madal, but we're
Is that
looking
enough
for
of a
June
selection, the link?
All right.
July-
I'll just,
July
July, I'll make my motion that we added effective July 1st, 2022.
Any comments, questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, none? Unanimous. Congratulations.
Okay, one quick question for Mr. Braga that's totally unrelated to
Uh-oh.
this. No, seriously. In looking at my permits for my house, I noticed there's a couple of permits that are still open from years and years ago. And now then, because I have access to the permitting process in town, mostly for outdoor seating, you know, as allowed by the board, I noticed there's just so many permits that are still open way past. Is there anything down the line to take a look at those past permits and close them out? Because it seems kind of odd that we have almost, maybe I got the number wrong, but it's about 30,000 permits that still may be open?
for the town.
Yeah, for the town.
We're
No,
working.
not for me, God forbid.
We're working on that, and typically the only way that we come to a point where there are, we know that there are open permits is usually when there's a real estate transaction, or someone wants to apply for a new permit.
okay.
Then we see all the open permits. When all of that was transferred, the information to the new system, if they weren't closed out, they were open. If there was no permits, wasn't signed off, a lot of them in the system, which is a big problem for all building departments. Final inspections are not called for, and everything just moves on. And so we try to work with the residents. There is a fee that we charge to help get those permits closed out, because we don't have any documentation. If we don't have it in the files, which we recommend everyone look in your property jacket, see what you can find, or if you have the permit, which most cases they probably do not.
Yeah, right.
So what we have to do is now we have to issue a new permit that references closing out the old permit to make it legal, and it's a $75 charge to close out those permits, to get them closed out, because we have to enter my clerks have to enter all the information back in, and then we help close them out for them. It's the only way that we can do it.
Okay.
Can we somehow make that process work when there's if and when a new request comes in for that same property to clean up the old?
When it comes into our office?
Yeah.
Yes, when a new permit comes in, we look at all that, and before they can get the new permit closed out, we require they go through,
So you charge the $75 and clean up the,
clean up the rest. That is correct.
so that's happening anyway.
That's how
which
we're
is
doing it.
The best way to do it,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the only way that we can, is when we get a requisition for something, then we see the whole list.
Someone has something from 5 years ago, they don't really have any interest to clean it up unless they want to do something else, right?
The good part about it is, and when I was in Brookline is, especially if they're financing the home, the mortgage companies and the banks usually they'll roll all this up, and they'll require them to get all these closed out at the purchase and sale, either by the
That makes sense.
seller or the buyer is going to be responsible for. So there are those policies in effect across the board. So we are dealing with them as we get them.
Right, makes perfect sense. Anybody else? Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, how are we doing, all right so far? Good? Good. Veterans Service Officers Contract Ratification. Mr. Haddad.
So this was previously discussed in executive session. This is just for Matthew Brulette, the Veteran Service Officer, and this would just need to be approved. It's his contract for 3 years, an open session by the board.
Motion to approve the contract. The contract will run July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025. The 3 years of the salary will be the first year $53,579.40, second year $61,613.33, and the third $70,858.78.
With no cost, with no cost of living adjustment.
No cost of living adjustment.
Second?
I'll second that.
I would just like to say before we vote that I've gotten overwhelming comments of a positive nature from.
Without a doubt.
I know I talked to him early on about finding veterans that needed help, and he's found them, and male and now female. He's such a dedicated, directed individual, almost worthy.
I, for one, can't wait to sign the contract.
All right.
He's a wonderful individual.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Bullitt. Okay, we're going to pass that around and sign that too, I guess, huh? Okay, next, North Branch Library Building Committee dissolution. Sounds kind of final to me.
Yes. So I won't go into too much detail because we have 2 members of the committee here, and they may want to speak on it. But after many years, the Library Building Committee voted at their June meeting to dissolve and notify the Select Board that construction has been completed and the remaining issues have all been rectified. And I think the end result, it's a beautiful building. So we're very happy to have this complete, and but I certainly want to thank all of the members of that committee. They were quite dedicated. It was a long process.
Yes, COVID prolonged the process, and the building is beautiful. It's up and running. The community center is available. The community room is available, the Sharon McDonald Community Room. Again, everything about it, if people have not been to the North Branch, they really need to make their way up there and take a look. It's a beautiful building. And now that it has been, I think now we'll go forth and talk about the grand opening after the soft opening of 2 years.
I, for one, maybe either one of you, I'd like to hear about the process of the final, the issues that came along with the construction and whatever, and the improvements, and satisfaction knowing that was taken care of.
Well, basically it was water in the basement, and it was, I guess for the longest time, it was just trying to figure out where it was. We knew where it was coming from, but we didn't know how it was getting and where it was. So it ended up doing some different types of work, some hydraulic adhesive in different areas to see if it worked. It did work for a little bit, and then it continued. So then we had a bulldog of a committee member who was adamant about some different things and ended up having the contractor redig in front of the building. Come to find out that one of the drain pipes were not connected and was placed erroneously. So, and once that was corrected, we all held our breath and fingers just to make sure after each rain to see if something came in. It fixed it up probably 75%. There was still some rain came in, so they did some additional drainage, additional landscaping as far as away from the building, and it seems to have taken care of the swales and fixed the swales, and it seems to have taken care of the problem. The last time it rained, there wasn't anything that came through, which is good. So, and I do say at some point in time during the discussion, I was getting to be to the point where I was starting to call for town council, and it was getting close to that point where I was going to be adamant about it, but the contractor, the architect, and the clerk of the works got together and took care of the problem at a significantly reduced cost, so that we didn't have to go through errors and omissions and whatnot. And it seems to be taken care of. And it got to the point now where, you know, it was time for the committee to dissolve. There was really no need for us to continue anymore. So, and my only regret is that my sister wasn't alive to see it.
Right.
So, and I have to. I'm not that I ever want to pick on anybody, but I want to pick on Heidi because I could tell she's an educator. She used the name Sharon McDonald. Sharon was a great teacher at Dartmouth High School.
You're right.
Of Dartmouth High School, and Sharon is just a wonderful person, and equally wonderful was her husband Marty.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Suzanne.
But Suzanne.
It's who the room
It's
is
not an
named
educator.
for.
It's not an educator. However, she did try to teach me a few things, in which didn't work. But
Try to school
yeah.
you.
Yeah. So, but that's yeah, that was the one. That's the one regret I have in this whole thing, that she wasn't able to see the dissolving of the committee. She saw the finish of the building. She saw the opening of the building. She did everything else. But, you know, I think this would have been a little bit closer. So. But,
On the other hand, every time we go in to use it, we can see the name.
yep.
Be reminded.
And
It's a great testimony to her.
it's a beautiful picture of her. That
I would also, I know I've had discussions with Heidi and with Lynn Antunes, that I think that building deserves a rebirth and a reawakening. And I think we have to look at it like people don't even know that it's open yet, and really give it what it deserves, because all the old business is gone, and have some events there, and maybe some events that we would have had someplace else, have it there and tie it all in. Have a food truck up there of some kind. I would go with a food truck. So.
Well, I know I spoke as recently as today to Lynn, and she's getting, you know, all the summer programs underway, a summer adult book club this summer, and it will be a great time to have some of those events. It's a very active, Friends of the Libraries, it's a very active group, and now they have 2 spaces to hold those activities.
I went to an event there and the room was filled. It was awesome. It was great. A beautiful room.
And I think the best time to do that would be when everything is in bloom in the meadow in the front. And this is a reminder that the front is not a hayfield.
It's a meadow.
It's no unkept. It's a meadow. It's supposed to look like that. And everybody likes to complain about it from anywhere from November to May. And then all of a sudden, the millions of black-eyed Susans appear, and everybody then says, "Oh my God, it looks so great! It looks so great!" And
Plus the sign's looking better every day too.
Yeah, the sign, yes. I mean, we did have a little, you know.
That's why it deserves something better.
Well, maybe you can have an open house towards the end of the
So
summer.
we're tied into a real event.
In the fall when it's.
While the black-eyed
it's-
Susans are still there.
Right, and, you know, and it's cooler. It might be a great idea to have, you know, carts and things like that. I'll put a hot dog cart there.
There we go.
Okay.
I'll talk to
Do we
Lynn.
need to vote on this?
Yes.
We do. Okay.
So we need to make a motion.
Go right ahead.
Motion to the North Branch Library Building Commission dissolution.
Second to dissolve.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None? It is dissolved. Rather final. Next, the resignation to the Youth Commission of Kate Kershaw.
Yes, so our youth advocate, Dolores Joseph, is here to discuss this.
Good evening, everybody. So my name is Dolores Joseph. I am the youth advocate for the town of Dartmouth. So we've had quite a few resignations from the Youth Commission this year. The last resignation, of course, is Kate, who's been on the commission for several years. There were 2 other commissioners who've resigned. the terms are 3 years for the Youth Commission. They serve their terms and they've decided to move on to other things. So we are definitely looking for any individual who is a resident of the town of Dartmouth who would like to serve on the commission. Currently, we have 2 commissioners, relatively new commissioners, Krista Machado and Jeremy Howard. Jeremy has graciously volunteered to be the chair of the commission, and Krista has graciously volunteered to be the secretary of the commission. So, hey, that's a plus. So for the commission, the commissioners voted that instead of meeting monthly, we meet quarterly. So our last meeting was actually this month. Our next meeting will be in September. So the ask of the commissioner, whoever wants to be on the commission, we're doing things here in Dartmouth. I think the commissioners really want to focus on possibly starting up some type of scholarship for any youth that resides in Dartmouth. Definitely maybe do some fundraising to make sure that the funds continue to stay in the account so that we're able to do scholarships. So those are the things that before some of the commissioners left that they talked about moving forward. They really want the commission to focus on how do we come up with the scholarship, what will be the criteria, the monetary amount, and how will we go about continuing to fund the scholarship. So yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think I have to.
You have to go. Yes.
When you're ready, Dave, I'll have a question.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. So anybody who's interested, please contact the Select Board office. I'm Christine Amaral. Just send an email stating your interest with the letter, and it would be forwarded to the chair of the Youth Commission. So that is it.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Brooks?
The scholarship would be for camp?
No.
No.
So the scholarship would be to attend either, and it hasn't been hashed out because we want to wait until the other commissioners come on, but right now the brainchild is it would be for any youth that resides in Dartmouth, either to further their education through college, through a trade school, or some other avenue outside of high school. Camps, I'm glad you brought that up. So an anonymous family has come forward graciously and given money to the commission to be used to supplement scholarships for camps over the summer. So the first camp that they selected was the community boating in New Bedford. So there were some criteria that they came up with, the commission agreed to. So basically what would happen is that the family would need to apply for any scholarships that's offered through the camp, whether they are approved or not, and any funding that is left over after they've been approved for a scholarship or not, then this anonymous donor would pay for the cost of that. So this year's community boating, we decided as a commission and the anonymous donor that a percentage of the money in the account would be used each year to fund different camps for any youth that live in Dartmouth. Doesn't have to be a camp in Dartmouth. As long as the youth is a resident of Dartmouth, they will pay for it. And based on the monies in the account, we're looking at about 5 years of camperships that we are able to sponsor for youth.
Good. Thank you.
Very nice.
Could you talk a bit about the current mission of the Youth Commission, what somebody would be involved in and the challenges involved?
So the current mission is that we provide services for youth in Dartmouth. But my mission and my philosophy is that not just youth, because youth are attached to families. So providing services to families here in Dartmouth. So the ask of the commissioners would have to be to have an open mind to help me come up with different ways that we're able to provide services or linkage to families or youth here in Dartmouth. We as the commission would want someone with an open mind who is genuinely, cares about youth and about, preserving the mental health, like social programming of youth and families here in Dartmouth, to come with an open mind and with some creative ideas. So I wouldn't say it was a big ask. I just think it If you love children and love families and want to see people prosper and grow, I think this is the commission for you.
Nice plug.
I know.
How would you rate the need over the last 12 to 18, 24 months?
The need, because, and I'm going to be honest, because of COVID, I think we have really seen a rise in mental health, not just with young people, but with people in general. Mm-hmm. And some of this is due to the trauma surrounding COVID, whether it's that youth and families have experienced death, and just the trauma of just being isolated, not being around people. What's happening, unfortunately, is that the schools, I get calls from schools all the time looking for mental health services, looking for mental health providers. The need is so great, there's not enough mental health providers out there. There are big wait lists. A lot of them are still doing telehealth, and some youth don't do well with telehealth. So that's another barrier. So what we've been looking at, and I was just talking to Commissioner Brooks about this earlier, this is in the infancy stages, but working with the Bridge, who is a mental health facility here in Dartmouth, and with UMass Psychiatric Nursing Program, we've all had conversations about how do we help, meet this need here in Dartmouth. So they've graciously offered the Psych Nursing Program to do some psycho-emotional, social-emotional work with some groups free of charge for youth here in Dartmouth. So what we're working on now is where this will take place, who we're looking at. I think right now we're looking to start with the high schools and then trickle it down all the way to the elementary schools. But this is a project that they're very passionate about. They want to give back to the community. I think this will be phenomenal. So we're still in the beginning stages. We're hoping to try to have something up and running in the fall.
Thank you. This is really important. I know that there was just something posted on Facebook from the chief of police that Dartmouth had a number of suicides in the recent weeks, which is when people are at the end of their rope, before they get there, we need to make sure we have adequate services and they know where to go and where to find that. And so thank you, Dolores, for...
We had a discussion at town meeting regarding what the schools are going to be trying to do as well to add more programs in place.
Extra layers, exactly. And there's other, and when you were talking about the suicides, and I sit on different committees, I sit on different groups, and one of them we talk about like the suicide rates and how things have been since COVID. The rates actually, people calling into a suicide hotline, and I just want to remind people, when you call into the suicide hotline, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're suicidal. You just maybe need someone to talk to. They're there to do that. So I please encourage people that if you're at your wit's end or you just don't know where to go, you can call the suicide hotline 24 hours a day. But what they're noticing is that when people are calling, and while they're calling, they're not talking so much about COVID anymore. So that's a good thing. But there's still a need out there, and there's still so many people who are hurting and feel like they have nowhere else to go.
I would hope that maybe after you get a couple members under your belt and together and you come up with some additional priorities and missions, you come back to us and see how we can help you out.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to remember that.
Okay.
My other question is, how many more members are you looking for?
So we have two, we have two, but
Yeah.
5.
5 total, or
Yes.
5 more?
5 more.
Okay, I've got names.
Oh, good. Christine Amaral, Select Board Office, please
Yep.
email her.
Wonderful. Thanks for your great attitude.
Thanks, Dolores.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores.
Accept the resignation.
We have to vote to accept the resignation. Can we not accept it?
Kate Kirchner, yeah.
You're okay. Okay. I need a motion on the resignation.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion, questions? All in favor of accepting the resignation, please say yes.
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 Aye, excuse me.
Aye.
No, none opposed, unanimous.
Okay.
Thank you for your service, Kate Kirchner. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we did it. Okay, next is board and committee appointments. This is going to be for the Board of
Just Historical Commission.
Historical Commission.
Historical, just so, yeah, okay. We have 3 members. We have the attendance records here, which seem to be pretty good. Robert Harding, James O'Day, and Robert Smith have expressed their interest in staying on board.
Motion to reappoint.
Second.
Any discussion, questions, opinion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none? Passed unanimously. Thank you very much for your service. We appreciate it.
Dave, along that line, today I was looking at the website link to boards and committees that are looking for people. And I think one of my concerns is that it doesn't, there's some that you go to and there's some names there. And so I don't know how many people are supposed to be on the commission. So I don't know if the commission is now full. So I think we need to add some more information and either put looking for 2 members or looking for 4 members. Some there's no one listed. So it's not.
Well, I've also, in addition, I think that's a great idea, helpful.
I think you just put a vacant spot. If there's 7 people on the commission, and there's only 2 people there, just put spot vacant, please see, contact select board's office.
I just think
That
it
way
would be
make the
helpful
link.
to know.
Yeah, make the links.
Needed.
Have the link saying, contact select board office, click the link, automatically email, submit your, hey, I want to be on the committee.
I've also talked to Mr. McGinnis regarding our role and our relationship to committees as well. And at a future meeting, we'll put that on our agenda to review what we feel is important, who we should be reach out to. Do we want liaisons with different committees, and do that review. So you might want to mention that again. Okay? Old business. Are we ready for old business? I guess we are.
We are. COVID, no new updates. Bliss Corner, the EPA continues remediation efforts. Lake Nokichoke, no new updates.
I just
There
want
was a
to.
fairly extensive article in Dartmouth Week about it. I thought it was pretty well.
I thought it was excellent. I want to remind everybody to either pick up the weekly paper or go on the website, because if you live in that area, there was a lot of information.
Right. This is serious work has begun. Okay, nothing on those 3 issues? Mr.
Well, you
Nicholson?
can, I'll wait till information, but you wanted, I don't believe there are any minutes, right?
No minutes.
No minutes. Okay. So, is it I? It is.
I
So-
guess it is, I'm sorry. We'll have to
So,
listen.
I was out and about this Sunday morning, about 8 a.m., and I was heading Route 6 west towards Reed Road, actually. And I'm sure a lot of people saw this. There were about 25, 30 signs. Lawn signs on both sides, on the north side, south side, heading east and west, all the way up.
Ashley's Home Sales.
Well, I didn't want to mention it because I don't want to give them any free advertising. I know the police notified them numerous times during the weekend, to no avail. They never answered. No one made an attempt to remove them. They also had a pickup truck with New Jersey plates. That had, and we have a bylaw, I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe one of our former select board members, many years ago, used a pickup truck, and this particular pickup truck with the New Jersey plates had a tripod about 6 feet high, mentioning the name of that building. Now, I believe the police got the New Jersey plates. The town building inspectors, I think it should be more than a letter to that person that owns that truck. And I think we need to bring in Ashley before us. And the unmitigated gall of that manager or his boss to allow that somebody, authorize somebody to get out there and put that amount of signs out, I don't care. It is just thumbing their nose in our face. And shame on that business, whether it came from the manager or his boss. They need to get in here. And then we need to know why they did it. Thank you.
As I recall, Mr. McDonald, I thought you mentioned in one of our meetings that if we want to create some kind of fine system for these, it has to go through, is even town meeting?
No, this is fine for the political sign, not political signs, for the
Unauthorized signs?
unauthorized signs. There's a fine in place, and the building commissioner can authorize that fine.
At one point in time, we had the building commissioner, Paul Murphy, at the time, was the gentleman who would go around and he would see the signs, he would take them down. As a matter of fact, he created a tool to get the top ones. He basically taped a hammer to a long pole and then tied it to his Prius
You mean the ones
as he was driving around.
The ones on telephone?
Yeah.
Oh, they're all
Driving around with him, and he would pull it off the side and yank the sign down. What really drove the board crazy at the time was we buy ugly houses, we buy the house here.
Stump removal's a new one, yeah.
Right.
The stump removal is a new one, the mosquito thing is a new one this year.
They come in droves. Yeah.
And I understand, and I saw the Ashley signs all up and down Route 6. I can understand grand opening. Something like that could be done on a permission basis for the grand opening. I think that would have been the better way of handling it. The truck, I guess, was a sign truck.
No, it was a pickup truck owned by someone from New Jersey.
Okay.
Probably corporate.
All right.
They might do this in other cities and towns, but they're not gonna do it in Dartmouth.
Well, it's not so much that. It was just, I believe the event, I'm not condoning it. I'm just trying to figure out, why they were doing it. It was opening. It was opening day. It was opening. They're brand new to the town. Ashley's Home Sales came into town. They moved into the old AC Moore place. So they're brand new into town. So I think, maybe they should have contacted the town and say, look, this is what we want to do. Okay, then we would have known, you can put the signs up temporarily. The only thing they did with the signs temporarily, they put it on state property. So that was, so that kind of rules the town out of it a little bit because it's still state property. But I think maybe something like that could have happened, and I understand why they did it. I just don't agree with the numerous that they did it.
It's a bad business decision, truly.
It's not a good look, and the other impetus for the sign was that furniture company in Fall River that's been going out of business for the last 50 years. So I mean,
I think it boils down to
talk about lasting.
It boils down to consistency and priority for us. They're out there and they come in droves. All of a sudden, there's 6. I think what happens, the guy puts out 6. And then someone else, I'll put out my 6. Next, there's a group, and then this grand opening thing. Do we want to enforce something? Do we want to do something about it, or is it just?
I mean, there is a fine line with the signs because, the bylaw states, advertising businesses, but yet, political signs are there, are exempt. So, the other thing too is like, if you have a contractor working on a home, he wants to advertise his business that, this roof is being done by, Joe Roof.
That's private property.
Which is fine.
That's authorized private property. There's not a lot of them, but there's enough out there that are illegal because they're not authorized.
Right. And it's on the telephone poles. I mean,
And then you get the stump, there's another stump company now.
there's
All of a
Stump,
sudden,
there's Learn CPR, there's a whole bunch of things, so.
The fact is, it just deteriorates from
we see the same ones all the time.
town, and it's
I had an idea when I saw him last. We take a picture of the sign, bring it to town hall, someone finds hopefully an address, and you write him and say, if you don't take it down, we charge $100 a sign, or whatever the number is. Why can't we try that? And who would do it, and are we interested?
We have to have, it has to be a bona fide bylaw of the town.
And I know.
We can't indiscriminately
Well, I mean,
put
it
$100.
would need to be.
No, whatever the.
The bylaw would need to be reviewed to make sure that we have the teeth for
Are
it.
we interested?
Yeah, without a doubt.
And, plus the fact that, now we talk about manpower to get it. That's the other key too, is who do we assign to go around getting, picking up these signs?
No, we don't take them down.
Oh, no.
The cops
Well, you
are
can't.
identifying them now,
Yeah.
sending the locations and the name of the signs to the building commissioner. The building commissioner's responsibility is to take them down.
No, it's not, none of that's realistic. I don't want him,
But are you saying it already is something that, when we're saying that the building commissioner does have
He does.
the authorization?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
no,
So we
But
know
we just
who
need to reinforce it.
can.
Send them a letter. Next time they do it, they get a fine.
Oh, we can send a letter's fine. I mean, that's
But
just,
I want to bring them in here.
you can have a form letter done saying,
to keep it simple, we take a picture of the sign, has a phone number, we bring it back to someone in the office, they trace down the address or the phone, And we simply say, take it down, or you'll be charged X amount of dollars, remove them, or you'll be charged $50 a sign, or whatever the number is. Put the impetus on to get it.
Then that bylaw we need to take a
I
look.
understand. Are we interested?
At this
We've
point,
been talking about
Something like that can be, yeah, we can take a look at a review, but I'll be honest with you, I'd be more interested in these drop boxes for clothing and books and stuff throughout the town. You know, because some of them are an absolute,
But those are on private property.
property, yeah.
There's one at the Cushman School.
but you know,
Those are
the best ones,
textiles.
the best ones are the ones at the schools. The worst ones are on private property. The one on Fons Corner Road at Stop and Shop is a pigsty
Always.
all the time.
I used to have one out in front of my place all the time.
Yeah.
And I kept calling them, come pick it up and pick it up. And I caught people in the morning going through it and selling the stuff themselves. And finally, I just said I removed it. And it was too bad because we had a lot of stuff that was
A
donated.
lot of those stuffs, and a lot of those places that have those boxes are not truly what they're purported to be.
They're not for profit.
Right, exactly.
Right.
They're resellers.
So the one on the schools, which I do think we need to make sure people are aware, it's a textile drop. So people should not be putting in clothes that they think somebody could use. It's for soiled clothes or dirt, purses. Anything can be dropped off their shoes because it goes and gets chopped up and then becomes fiberfill for other things. But, I mean, it's Bay State Textiles does weigh their stuff, and then the school department gets a fee or
I'd like
fund.
to, do we have a consensus? Do we have interest in trying to enforce and create, sounds like something new, as a sign enforcement program? Are we interested?
We can have, Cody, I mean, I think Cody's a bright person. He knows how the board is feeling and weighing in on this subject, and he'll bring it right back to Sean. and we need to
Responsibility
take a
should
look
go
at it.
on the sign perpetrator.
Of course it should.
Sure,
Get it out, or we'll charge you.
Well, so like this weekend, there were numerous phone calls from the police department, and they made no attempt. Somebody knows that is.
Well, also, I mean, that they came in to open a business in town and clearly had to go for some sort of permitting.
Yeah.
So, and that would be through the building department. So I think that too, if he has a letter that goes out to these people saying, please be advised that if you're doing anything to notify the opening of
The
your
problem with that
building.
is, these people know that what the laws are, and you can't do it without permission. They did it anyway.
They did, of
And
course.
some towns they get away with it, other towns they don't. Simple as that.
Well, we're not gonna put up with it.
Well, we need to have something different, new.
Well, I'm telling you, at this
Okay.
point, the building inspector takes
Let's
care of
review
it.
it. It's been a lengthy discussion.
Let's review the process.
It's a
Okay, all right, Mr. Haddad?
it's a pain in the ass.
And we don't want to get the building inspector going out chasing signs down. Not a
Understand.
not a good
No, we
idea.
need, yeah.
He's in charge of signs.
That other
but
thing.
If you do it enough and you throw
You get a
a
reputation.
monetary value on it,
Absolutely.
they won't do it
You
again.
get a reputation.
Truly. And every time they do it again and continue to
It
do
goes
it,
up.
the price of the
Those poles out on Fons Corner Road could get us $1,000 a month in
yeah,
fees.
it'll be almost like the carts,
Look how long it took
the
us to do
shopping
the carts.
the shopping carts.
And we got a nice
So-
big fat
Yeah,
check
they-
from
right,
Walmart.
they did.
Let's see how much money
think
we
it's
get-
worth trying something.
Get from the furniture company.
Well, we can't talk about it and just say, let the building inspector enforce it. That's not the idea. Okay? If we finish this one up
I think
enough?
so. I'll have a discussion with Mr. McGinnis and Mr. Braga.
Thank you.
But while we're on the topic of information,
I didn't mean to cut you off on
Nope.
the bins. But
Nope.
that's separate discussion, that's.
separate discussion, and I was not going to talk about the bins, but I know that we all received an email from Fatima and Victor Seamus
Yes.
about the black bass. And I think we were very specific to the gentleman from the black bass. So I just want us to keep an eyeball on that.
Well, we talked about looking at it again in a month or two, was it? And it sounds like a month hasn't even gone by. Now, we need to hear both sides of the story, that's for sure. At what point do we want to hear both sides of the story?
Let's let it go until the next meeting and see if we get anything. Okay?
Well, have
This
we,
was just that they had, he had had the entertainment prior to the.
Prior to the
summer
solstice.
Right, and
solstice.
and maybe he screwed up, he got the date
Yep.
wrong. I'm
Yeah.
not, I don't know that.
Well, can we send a letter to the Seamuses to say that we accept your, I assume they've gotten no response from us? Is that?
Well, I would think not. I mean, I certainly think it's an email, and we certainly
We
can.
understand in this particular case, maybe it wasn't that definitive, but we will,
No, I had replied to the Seamuses. I asked them if there was a police report, and they said they did not call the police at the
Right.
time because they didn't feel,
but do they need to hear from us now that we're available to?
I think the more appropriate thing would be for our office to send a letter to
Matthew Rooney.
Matthew, and
Copy-
just to
copy
let him
the Seamuses.
let him
Right.
know exactly what happened and that it's being made part of the
Monitored.
record.
Carefully observed, right.
It's
Part of
being
the record.
and it's
Okay.
me. It's being made part that the complaint is being made part of the
Good point.
record.
They both
and then
deserve-
how would he like to respond to it,
Right.
and then leave it at that.
Because without that record, we don't have.
Correct.
Good point, okay. I have, as an old business follow-up, I met, as you may recall, I sent a letter to the school committee, Mr. Nunes, the chair, regarding our stance on the mascot and their position. And they did meet that night. They sent the letter out, and I had a follow-up meeting with Dr. Gifford, superintendent, and we are pursuing the content and the purpose of some kind of recognition and joint committee to recognize that this is a town issue as well as a school issue. And I got an update, and we'll continue to follow that one.
That's great.
And I don't know if this is proper, that's nice for the schools anyway, but we also discussed the turf field, the Veterans Memorial Stadium, and it's worth noting that unfortunately the estimate for the second half or third phase came in at nearly double the original estimate. So we are going to meet again and regroup and see, because as you know, the field is beautiful, the lights are beautiful. There's a nice storage facility being built, but we're hanging in the balance there, and we're going to meet again and try to regroup and see what we can do with that.
Well, I can tell you for a fact
Yes.
that most municipal bids coming in the last year and a half have been more than what it is. Braintree had a bid that was about $4 million more than what they budgeted for. Barnstable did the same thing.
And the committee's purpose, number one, is going to face the reality that is this going to get better or worse, and what do we do about it? So it's just an informal update on that one, because we need to make some decisions on that, and the committee will regroup on that.
And Dave, I know you communicated with, and the name is escaping me, regarding the housing,
Connie Desmond.
Connie Desmond.
Connie.
Yes, and I'm
And
going.
she has a meeting this week,
I'm
correct,
going
the
to 30th.
30th?
Is it
And then she
30th?
will be letting us know?
I'll be there at that meeting.
Okay.
Yes, yes. She said there was no time frame, and I copied her on that, and she's looking forward to our meeting on the 30th. And I think I expressed what the committee was feeling, our group was feeling at that time. Okay.
One more thing.
One more thing?
Pool, right there, pool tournament.
Oh, okay. That all goes under information?
Yes.
Anybody? Okay. Let's see, this is cool. On July 15th, my sister's birthday, I don't know if she plays pool.
Well, we'll bring her anyway.
Okay. Veterans Billiards Tournament on July 15th at 9 a.m. at the
Council on Aging.
Council on Aging and the adjacent to the Maria Connor. First prize pool tournament $150, second prize $100, and third prize $50. All are invited to come and watch Dartmouth veterans compete for these cash prizes and enjoy a continental breakfast. Pre-registration will be required. Dartmouth veterans, please see veteran agent Matt Poet at the phone number is 508-910-1818 to compete. The number of participants and matches we can accommodate is limited. It's sponsored by the Dartmouth Veterans Office, the Friends of the Elderly, and the Dartmouth Council on Aging. Dartmouth veterans, sign up now to compete. Once again, Friday, July 15th at 9 a.m. is the actual date, so you got to get out
You
there
had a
before.
tremendous turnout last year.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
Okay.
Get it in the paper.
He's on it.
Of course you know.
Okay, great.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. This meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you very much.